Have always thought or tried to beat her. They've never been able to do so. They have. Chris Murphy, only 33 years old, but he made Iraq an issue, and he has defeated Nancy Johnson. Tonight, she has called to concede that race. In the 18th District of Ohio, this is what we call one of the scandal districts, where Bob Ney had to resign, did so just last week. Joy Padgett was his hand-picked candidate to run in his place. Zach Space, a Democratic attorney in the district, was able to win that race in the 18th District of Ohio. And in New Hampshire, in the 2nd District, we can project now that Paul Hodes has defeated Charlie Bass. Charlie Bass, a 6-term member of the House. Again, Iraq, President Bush, the war, the issue there. Cokie Roberts, they are now halfway there, or a little less than half, the 7 of the 15 they need.
They are, but these are all districts, Charlie, with the exception of that Kentucky district, that we really expected them to win. And so they haven't picked off any high-growing fruit yet. These are districts, in many cases, where John Kerry won in 2004, or for instance in Deborah Price's district in Ohio, 50-50. Same with Nancy Johnson's district in Connecticut. And by the way, Charlie, those are two very senior women to be losing in the House. They were very prominent in the House and in their party on a lot of women's issues. So that'll be interesting to see what that loss will mean.
So basically, you're saying that the Democrats so far are picking off the low-hanging fruit.
That is what I'm saying. Yeah. That they're picking off the seats that John Kerry carried, or that we expected them to pick off for reasons of scandal or personal problems of the incumbent. And so far, there really are not any big surprises here. With the possible exception of that Kentucky seat. But the other thing is that we have talked a lot about these individual races, Ohio having its problems, Indiana having its problems. But what has struck me in these exit polls is that 62% of the people said that they were voting for the House of Representatives on national issues, not local issues. And that means the Democrats did succeed in turning this upside down from the old Tip O'Neill, all politics is local.
Well, George Stephanopoulos, I remember a Republican official saying on Saturday, we've tried to make this local, 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 and the Democrats have tried to make this national, national, national.
And by 2-1, as Cokie just said, the voters said it was national issues, not local issues, that they were decided on. And you know, this is a vindication of the Democratic strategy, of repudiation, really, of the Republican ones so far.
Martha Raddatz, I want to turn to you. Martha Raddatz, who covers the White House for ABC News. And Martha, I'm curious, if we know, is the president watching these election results come in, or is somebody just coming in and informing him? And what do you have a sense about as far as the mood of the White House is concerned?
Well, I've been in communication with someone who has been with the president tonight, and he said indeed the president is watching the returns come in. He's also hearing from various campaigns. I sense that it is a very downbeat mood there. They will not talk about that publicly at all, but they are realistic. They are watching this, Charlie, and think about it. The bad news that the Republicans are getting tonight points straight to the president. This president has defined himself by national security and his Iraq policy. He's been trying to sell his so-called strategy for victory in Iraq for the last year. He has made so many speeches about Iraq. He's tried to tie in Iraq to the global war on terrorism. It hasn't worked.
All right, Martha Raddatz at the White House. We mentioned a little bit earlier in the evening, it's a simple one to project. Hillary Clinton has been a re-elected senator from the state of New York. You can see right now that she's giving a victory speech to her followers. We'll just dip into it for a couple of seconds.
I just think democracy is great, and it's wonderful to be here with all of you. I want to thank you. I want to thank you, New York, for standing with me, and I want to thank you for standing up for change. And you know, the message couldn't be clearer that it is time for a new course. Beyond all the partisan, ideological division, back to the vital, dynamic center to begin to solve the problems of New Yorkers and Americans. I've had the honor in the last 6 years to listen to you and work with you, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for sending me back to the Senate to work for the public interest.
Hillary Clinton with a big victory tonight, and Her husband standing right behind her, not surprised to see him on the stage, but Hillary Clinton declaring victory and thanking her supporters here in New York. Defeating John Spencer, who ran, well, I guess an undistinguished campaign would be the least you could say, but this one was never in doubt.
He never had a chance. He didn't get much help from the National Republican Party. And of course, Charlie, all the speculation now for Hillary Clinton is going to be about 2008. She was very careful, just like George W. Bush was in his final campaign for governor of Texas, not to promise to serve out her full 6-year term.
Okay, we mentioned that there are 3 switches from the Republicans to the Democratic side in the Senate so far tonight. There are a couple of close races that we're keeping an eye on, and I want to go to those if I can get the boards up. Number 1 in the state of Virginia, where George Allen, and this one we've been watching closely all night long because it has been nip and tuck. George Allen, the incumbent, running against Jim Webb, the Democrat. Webb, a former Republican who was the Secretary of the Navy in the Reagan administration. And you can see there with now 93% of the precincts reporting, 93%. The lead is only 30,000 votes, Allen over Webb. But if George Allen does hold that lead, it would be almost impossible for the Democrats to gain control of the Senate.
That's exactly right, Charlie. And Republicans are especially hopeful about this race right now because they say all the votes from Northern Virginia, the Democratic part of the state, are in.
And then in the state of Tennessee, where Harold Ford ran such an energetic campaign against Bob Corker, the mayor of Tennessee, but we've now got 68% of the precincts reporting there, and Corker has a rather comfortable lead over Ford. We're not yet ready to project that race, but it would appear that Corker is going to defeat Ford. This is an open seat. Bill Frist, the majority leader in the Senate, stepping down there in Tennessee, and it would appear that the Republicans are going to hold that, although, as I say, too early to project that.
But if they hold on to Tennessee, if they hold on to Virginia, all but impossible for the Democrats to get control of the Senate.
So the Democratic efforts to win control of the House have been engineered, captained by Rahm Emanuel, a congressman from the state of Illinois, and he's joining us at the moment. Rahm, can you hear me? Charlie Gibson in New York.
Yes. Hey, Charlie. How are you?
So we've got, at the moment, 7 switches from the Republican to the Democratic side. Cokie Roberts said, well, so far you've picked off the low-hanging fruit, with the possible exception of the Northrop-Yarmouth race in Kentucky. But so far, these are races you anticipated winning. How do you feel overall the night looks?
Well, first I would add to that Barron Hill. That was a hotly contested race between both parties, and so I would add a second one. Look, here's how I think. We're halfway around, and we haven't gotten west of the Mississippi. So,
well, and we're waiting for an awful lot of races yet. We have a couple from Connecticut you can name. The New York races we don't know. The Pennsylvania, except for the Sherwood race, we don't know.
Well, I know, and then you haven't got any of the 3 in Philadelphia, the 1 in Western Pennsylvania, the Altmaier Hart race. Right. You haven't had Florida. So you've gotten 7, and you've had, I would just say, of the 7, 2 of them are what I would call the low-hanging fruit. Chris Murphy and Nancy Johnson was right down to the wire. What's significant there is Nancy Johnson was the author of the prescription drug bill that the president touted. And we made a big issue in this campaign, as you know, about direct negotiations for lower prescription drug prices. We ran ads on it in that district, and we won in that area. And so that is a very significant thing as part of the Democratic agenda, which is besides minimum wage, we are going to have direct negotiations for lower prescription drug prices. There will be a vote, and we will get that done because people are unhappy with the subsidies for the pharmaceutical industries and the HMO industry.
Rahm, you know, so I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, well, look, I think we're at 7. We're halfway around. We have a lot to go. You look at the trends here. We're winning in Indiana, 3 seats in Indiana, a state that George Bush won with over 60% of the vote. We won 1 in Ohio. We won 1 in Pennsylvania in a Republican district that George Bush got 64% in. We won 1 in Connecticut, 1 in New Hampshire, 1 in Kentucky.
And I don't want to take issue with you, but you're down in a race in Georgia. There's another race in Georgia that's very, very close. So the number could be 17 that you have to get. But overall, as you look at the numbers, because we don't have results, many of them yet in Ohio, we don't have many results, as you mentioned, in suburban Philadelphia, in the New York races where you have high hopes. As you look overall at the numbers, can you say right now you are very confident that the Democrats are going to control the House?
I can say this. I'd rather be us. I feel good, actually, to the Georgia races. I feel very good about one of them, and I think it's going to be a long night in one of them. But I feel very good about where we stand today, given that we already got 2 races we didn't expect, 3 races we didn't expect, and we have yet to go to the Arizona races, the Colorado races, the Iowa races, where we are, I'm feeling very good, and also upstate New York.
But wouldn't it be fair to say, talking about this east of the Mississippi, west of the Mississippi, that you've got to be at least plus